Hi, everyone. This is Madison, and welcome to Small Bima Big Torah, a channel about practical leadership for small Jewish communities. Today, I want to talk about something that many small congregations struggle with, and that is how do you actually get a minyan? Now, before we go any further, let me be clear, okay? I'm not trying to find a minyan from a turnip. My goal is to help you get a minyan from the people you already have, the members of your own community, and in the ways that you support those members and strengthen your congregation. Every congregation also makes its own decisions about practice and halakha. So I also want to strongly caution you that some of these strategies that have worked in my experience are absolutely not going to work in your community. But perhaps, maybe as you see the process that I worked through, they can help you think creatively about supporting your community. So I want to let you know that this is not the answer for everyone. This is not 5 quick tips, although I do have 5 strategies. These are kind of more about a process and how you can take a look at your community and find out halakhically and spiritually and communally what works best for you. So strategy 1 is to name the need. So one of the most effective ways to gather a minyan is to simply name the reason for it. For example, when I have someone that needs to say Mourner's Kaddish, I make that very clear in the announcements. I explain that the minyan is either for a specific person and will name that person, or I will say that we have someone in our congregation that needs to say Kaddish on this date. I have a little sign. In fact, the little picture that is on the front of the thumbnail is the actual AI image that I made to use in these announcements of a rabbi holding up a sign saying, hey, looking for a minyan. And that is because that when people understand who the minyan is for, they are often much more willing to come. It reminds everyone that the minyan is an act of support for the fellow member, not just a technical requirement. It also kind of is a quid pro quo. So if someone had a minyan and they were at their minyan and now they need a minyan, people help each other. So name the need. Explain, not that just you need 10 people because you'd like to do all the prayers in the service, that you need a minyan because someone needs to say Kaddish. The other thing that I try is hospitality. Hospitality helps because we all know that Jewish life revolves around food. So if I know that I'm going to have a challenging week, I perhaps will offer a small oneg or some food after services as an encouragement to get people into the service. So even a modest oneg can make a difference. Food has always been one way Jewish communities encourage gathering, and it gives people a reason to stay a few extra minutes and interact. And if that is the price we need to pay to get a minyan, especially for Kaddish, then so be it. And a lot of times I've had to buy the bagels myself to get it to happen. Let's look at the third strategy. Honoring members creatively. This is a new strategy I've been trying to use, and it works to some extent. I have used small celebrations or recognitions to encourage people to attend. So one thing I can share personally is that in September, on October, depending how the holidays fall and how the Jewish calendar falls, I have 4 to 6 weeks of minyans in a row that I need to say Kaddish. And during that time, also usually Veterans Day falls. So after High Holy Holidays, people are they've been going a lot. They're kind of getting tired. So every year I try to see if I can do a Veterans Day thing. Honor the people for Veterans Day. The veterans come to service. And if there's 4 or 5 veterans in your community that you're honoring in some small way, and I'm talking about mentioning them in the program, letting them share 2 minutes of some wisdom if they want to share, or just being at an egg and the decorations are veterans. That helps you build those minions when you need them. And as you can tell, my focus mostly is on the minions to say Kaddish. That is where I am battling the most. And where I really want to make sure in this small community, because that's one reason that a lot of people leave. If they are not able to have a place where they can say Kaddish when they need it, they usually go someplace else where they can. So if I can make sure I can provide Kaddish for people, I definitely find that I hold more community members in our group. So, for example, like I said, on Veterans Day, I'll honor veterans. On Mother's Day or Father's Day, I will try to honor mothers and fathers. And sometimes it might just be a couple prayers. On Mother's Day, I think one year, a long time ago, I bought carnations. And everyone was able to take a carnation home if they carried as part of their tradition. I've also given goodie bags with goodie bags to mothers. And little goodie bags to veterans. So these moments do 2 things. They allow the community to celebrate the members, and they give a natural reason for a few more people to attend. And a natural reason for a few more people to attend and meet people like them, which could possibly encourage them to attend a little more. My 4th strategy is virtual participation. And this is one that may absolutely not work for your community. If you are conservadox and you are to the more dox side of the conservative, or just a lot of congregations post-COVID no longer allow the minion to consist of anyone hybrid online. But one of our biggest changes has been hybrid online services. So we have a meeting in person, we stream online, we have a video screen that all the people who are joining us online are actually on the screen facing us. Everyone can see them, they can see us. And so I've been able to actually focus on, get us to focus and really make it so like we're a community. For our congregation, when someone needs Kaddish, participants joining online can count towards the minyan. I had to make some simple rules. I had to look up a lot of halakha and try to see and then clarify something that worked for us. Because remember, in small communities, people come first. People need to be visible, engaged. I have to see your face. You can't be in the refrigerator. If it's mourner's Kaddish and we're saying the Kaddish, your screen has to be on. You need to be Jewish. That's important because a lot of time interfaith households are wonderful people and they want to help. And they're like, well, my partner can share with us. That will help with the minyan, except for the partner's not Jewish. So that helps with numbers and that helps us feel like a bigger community. But I'm really careful about how I count the minyan in that way. But when I have this hybrid system where you can see them, they can see us, we feel like we're a group for our community, that makes it so people are comfortable counting them as part of the minyan. So they've been by far the most effective way to increase our attendance and ensure that members feel supported, especially when we have parents with small children. I have a few parents in past years who've had small children, nursing children. They love to go to synagogue, but they can't. But now they have an online service component. And so they can attend and they can fix the screen during the time of Kaddish. And now we have an adult minyan because we have an egalitarian minyan. Even all our services are egalitarian minyan in our community. And so they can still be a part of the community, not feel left out, and they can get to the building where they can't get to the building. So my fifth strategy is expanding the circle. And this one is also a bit controversial too, because it usually involves online participation. And it involves a little bribery of my family sometimes. And what I mean by expanding the circle is this. Even with online participation, sometimes we need a few extra people. I also teach adult Hebrew students. And so there are times when I may reach out to the adult Hebrew students and say, hey, I really need a minyan. Maybe it's a 4-day weekend and most people are gone, or it is a holiday weekend and most people are gone. But I have some older students who don't travel as much anymore and they're not gone. So I say to them, would you be willing to help me? Could you come and help join this service with us? I have someone who needs to say Kaddish. And they usually do. The other thing that I do is I find sometimes past B'nai Mitzvah students. Can you help me with service this week? Or can you join me for Minyan this week? Even if you don't join me for the whole service, can you pop in around this time and around this time? And I have been known to bribe my family. I do have a large family. In fact, one future video we'll talk about is what do you do when you have one large family that makes up half the congregation? That was my family for the longest time. My family people would say when we needed a minyan, can you call your family? Because when everyone came, we basically were the minyan by ourselves. But I have been known to bribe my children with a tasty run to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks later. And in doing that mitzvah, getting them to feel good about doing that mitzvah. And now, of course, my son, who's older, an adult now and on his own, he now just does it on his own. If someone calls and asks him, can you be part of a minyan? And he's able to, he says, sure. So the goal is not to force people at all, but to ensure that the minyan happens while reinforcing the idea that everybody's presence matters. And I build that up big. I really do. Thank you for your presence. This is one of the greatest mitzvahs you can do. Whatever small piece of teaching, I don't batter it, whatever small piece of teaching that you can do helps. Because like I said, making sure that people can say Kaddish in a minyan is very important. So getting a minyan in a small community often requires creativity and flexibility and a willing to try new ideas. You have to look at what your congregation can do, what are the rules, what are people willing to accept, and then you have to say, how can we get people connected by the heart so they know that showing up for one another not only benefits them, benefits the person they're showing up for, but also the community. What is the need? The need that they fill by being needed by others. I really need to highlight that. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much of a difference you made to that person's life by showing up for the minyan. So whether it's naming the need, offering a small treat or an oneg, honoring members in different ways to liven things up. One of my ideas coming forward is even Crazy Hat Friday, trying to figure out, and I got it, I substitute teach, so I got it from pajama day at school. Maybe we need to do something like that. Coming up with some new, just glitchy things for fun to try to figure out if we can bring more people in. Inviting online participation has been a big one for us. So if your community doesn't have an online policy, I would very much encourage you to think about that. These strategies help make the minyan real and meaningful. And you can actually, I have found, do hybrid services in a way that actually everyone feels a part. In fact, in our hybrid services, you can say Kaddish if you can't get to synagogue because you're able to talk and we can hear you. And that is awesome. So it really is. So in small congregations, showing up for one another is often the strongest way a community becomes a mishpacha, a family. And that is what you need and really get that feeling of community and family. So I, again, thank you for being part of a small Bima Big Torah, where we explore practical leadership for small Jewish communities. And I want to remind you that even though your bima may be small, you probably have a big Torah.